Hey, thanks for hopping on with me, Cam.
No worries. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Had a big breakfast. It's been raining the last couple of days, so making the most of it.
Nice. Where are you at these days?
I'm in New Orleans. New Orleans is home for me now.
Okay, cool. So ever since you joined the
Yeah,
Gold?
yeah, I went and got my real estate license this past off season after the World Cup, and I was doing that once a week during
Oh,
the season. So
nice.
once things open back up again, I'll be doing that full time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Well, we're super happy to have you here with FloRugby. I know you've done some stuff with Flo before. For fans that don't know, but I'm sure most do, Cam is a 51 cap U.S. Eagle, and he's been all over the world. Played for Northampton Saints, Cardiff Blues, San Diego Legion, and has played for Life University, won a national championship there. So he's been everywhere and got 16 tries to his name for the Eagles. So I wanted to ask you, Cam, before all of these awesome accomplishments, playing all over the world at the highest level, how did you get started with rugby?
So I actually played. I played travel roller hockey from like 4 years old. There's an ECHL team. I think they're owned by the Carolina Hurricanes down where I'm from in Fort Myers, Naples area. So I played for them growing up, and then went to high school, played football for a couple of years. Didn't really like it that much, and a buddy of mine I played football with, at the start of the junior year, he's like, "Hey, do you want to come out to a rugby practice?" So I went out to a rugby practice and fell in love with that, and kind of the rest is history. Really, it all escalated very quickly, and less than a year later, I moved over to England and went to a private school there for 6 months, and then came back and Scott Lawrence reached out to me, and then went to Life and did that for 4 or 5 years, and then overseas.
What was playing in England like as
Uh,
a schoolboy?
it was pretty interesting. I was always quite tall. And fortunate enough to be athletic, and that kind of boded well for me for someone who isn't who hadn't been playing their whole life. I'd only been playing for 9-10 months, so kind of that helped me out a bit. And I played like Gloucestershire under 18s, and which is kind of like an all-star team in the area, and played 3 or 4 games, and it was fun. It was definitely a good experience from a young age. I think not really ever leaving Florida that much growing up. Kind of played its toll on me. And when I came back at Christmas time, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go to college, because I would have had to do an extra year of school. And
Yeah.
I wasn't really about that.
Did you become a Gloucester or a Bath fan when you were living over there?
No, definitely Gloucester. I only lived like 5 minutes from the stadium, and the family I was living with were huge Gloucester fans. So, that was I was there the year they brought in Leslie Vanacola for a little bit, and who else was there? I think Ryan Lamb was there 10. He was a young kid. Luke Naraway was there.
Was Mike Tyndall there?
Tyndall was there. Yeah,
Nice.
Tyndall was there in his prime.
Nice.
Trying to think who else. Who was the fullback they had? Simpson, something. There's a double barrel last name. I can't remember, but he was real good too. So they had a good team. They're always like top 4, top 5.
Yeah.
They've always been able to stay in the middle top.
How did Coach Lawrence get a hold of you or figure out about you? Was it from you being in Florida or when you were in England?
Well, I played USA under 17s and under 18s.
Okay.
And Sean O'Leary actually got me in touch with him. So Sean O'Leary told him that I was looking for a college to go to, and then he reached out to me. And obviously, because I was from Southwest Florida, Atlanta was really the closest rugby destination for me.
Right.
Rugby wasn't big in Florida, unfortunately. Hopefully that changes one day, but
Yeah.
at the moment it's not. And I went up there because my only other options at the time were the only other big schools were at the time were BYU and Cal.
Yeah.
And those were far, and they wouldn't have heard about me anyways, being so far away, and
Mm-hmm.
only doing high school rugby for 1 year.
So when you joined Life, had they become a collegiate side yet, or was it still
No.
the Super League team?
No, for my first year there, I got there in January, and that's when we just got back into Super League and lost in the final to San Francisco Golden Gate in Glendale. And then my second year, I tore my ACL, my left knee, in the first preseason game against the Chicago Lions, and then so sat out that whole year. I think they lost in the semis to Nyack maybe that year, and then we had a D1 team. I think they might have won it that year. I'm not sure. And then my third year then was when we started our collegiate team, so like the fall of 2010. They brought in Dan Payne, started my second year, summer of 2009, and he was kind of like he was kind of the reason they started that collegiate team because he had experience over at SDSU as the head coach. He's working with USA Rugby, doing something with what was he doing? He was doing something with what was he doing? Anyway, so he came in. They hired him on as a full-time director of rugby. Scott Lawrence was kind of stepping down because he's a pretty smart fella, and he was getting real busy with Oracle and stuff like that. So then, Dan took over and started the collegiate side. So we actually had like a collegiate side and a Super League side at one point for a couple of years. So it was, we had, probably 60 guys.
So did you come in were you part of the same recruiting class as Colton?
Yeah, Colton Carriaga, Tyler Solomon, who played under 17s with me as well. I'm trying to think if we had any other recruits that year. No, but a couple years older than me was like Garrett Lambert, who was a 2 or 3 time All-American. Chance Doyle was a good player. Paul Bester was a South African kid who was, really good. He was at Sharks Academy and came over. Who else? Scott McDonald was a hooker from Grand Rapids, Michigan, who was, a real good hooker. And then after my first year, we only had maybe 26 guys in the entire roster that first year. And then at the start of the second year, we were pretty young there. I don't even know if we had any fifth-year seniors at all that year. Maybe. Actually, I think Garrett and Scott McDonald might have been the only fifth-year seniors we had that year. And then Cornelius Dirksen was on our team as well. He's a capped Eagle. Hanno Dirksen's older brother.
Yeah. Did you ever play against Hanno when you were in Wales?
Yeah, a couple times when he was at Ospreys.
Nice.
I think I played against him at least once, maybe twice. I actually played with Hanno when I was 18. He must have been 17. We went to IRANS, which is International Rugby Academy in New Zealand, down there at Massey University. So him, myself, and Kevin Kimball went on a scholarship for like a 2-week camp, basically, with a bunch of New Zealand players. So TJ Paranaro was in that squad.
Really?
Yeah, he was with us.
I've heard he's pretty dang competitive.
He is. He's the nicest guy in the world, from what I remember, when we were, when he was like 17 and I was 18. And then who's the hooker? Cody Taylor was there as well. So there were some decent players. We played against like the Manawatu under 20s, and we had a pretty good game. Terrible rainstorm, hail.
Of course.
But it was fun.
I was chatting with Colton about a month ago, and he was actually talking about you, and something that I didn't know, when I think maybe a lot of people don't know, is that you actually had quite a few like knee injuries and setbacks when you were younger, and you've overcome them brilliantly.
Yeah, when I was in college, I tore both my ACLs, had a meniscus surgery as well. I was out for like probably, 16 months of my college, out of those 5 years of that college career. Went overseas. When I was at Northampton, I had a meniscus surgery. And then when I was at Cardiff Blues at the end of my tenure there, I had a microfracture in my right knee as well. So I've had like 4 on my right and 1 on my left. And if anything, I actually think they kind of was good for me. It taught me a little bit of discipline, and had to, rehab and proper diet and training and recovery and stuff like that, and hydration. So, as much as it sucks to have it done, and the pain, and having to sit out and watch your teammates and your friends compete and not being able to do it, I think it was good for me, and I came back stronger and faster and more athletic. So.
I know. I was gonna say, like, the way you move, I would never guess that you've had so many operations on your knees. Mm-hmm. But hasn't hindered your ability to score.
No, like I said, I think it was good for me. Even rehabbing, just working on those little micro muscles and the the muscle imbalances and exercises that I would never do. Like single leg squats on like a Swiss ball just for rehab and stuff like that, and proper stretching. I think it's kind of a blessing in disguise, and to get them out of the way when I was young was good. I think if I had something now, it'd be a lot tougher to get over. But when you're 20 and 22 years old, when you have the big ones, it's much easier.
Yeah. How did you get your first call up to the national team, and who reached out to you, and how did that whole process work?
Well, Dan Payne was my coach at Life, but he was also the breakdown coach originally, and then became the forwards coach. So I actually went to the camp. I went to my first camp in 2011 for the pre-World Cup camp. So that was actually a busy summer for me. So I did the London and at the time Edinburgh legs of the sevens with USA. Right after we got stomped by Cal Berkeley in the quarterfinals. So I went straight down to Vista from there. Made the team, did the two tournament, and then a couple weeks later, then went to All-American camp, also in California, and then Blaine Scully and I both got called into the World Cup camp, and then didn't make it that year. I was young. They had me as a lock. I was like 21 years old. I think the next youngest lock was like 24. So did that, and then let's see what else here. Had a pretty good year. The next year went to camp 2012. Didn't make that tour. That was the domestic tour. I think we beat Georgia. We played like Georgia and Tonga maybe at home in Glendale. And then that fall we did ARC. That was the old ARC when it was like USA selects, Canada selects, Argentina 15, and Uruguay up in Victoria, BC. So we did that, and then tore my other ACL in the second game of that against Canada, actually. And then, so that's my 5th year of rugby. And then I came back right when the playoffs started. They actually put me on the wing at Life.
Really?
Yeah. So I jumped in line out.
Have you ever played backline before?
Never once. I'd only ever played back row and lock. So what I would do is I'd jump in lineouts, and then I would just stay there, and I'd be a winger. And then it was nice. Paris Hollis and I were kind of interchangeable. So in lineouts, he'd be on the wing, and then would move into like a forward position after the first set piece, and then in scrums he was a prop. Actually, was he? No, he might have been playing blindside flanker then. So he was a flanker. So at scrums he would just play his normal position, and I was on the wing. So
nice.
I got a little bit. I got my 3 games of wing glory there. And
nice. You're like, how was the back line? Did you enjoy it out there?
I didn't know what I was doing. But like on set piece scrum plays, I had no idea what I was doing. It was enjoyable, but I don't want to do it again.
No.
I mean, I'll go hang out there once in a while. You know what I mean? But,
yeah. Hey,
you know
played.
I mean?
Did you play with was Cuthbert there at?
Yeah. Cuthbert and I were real close. Cuthbert only lived a block away from me. Him,
he's
Lloyd
a big
Williams.
tall guy.
He's a what?
He said he's a big tall guy out on the wing.
Yeah. No, he's a great winger. Yeah, so I was real close with him. I lived with Blaine for the first year I was there. Lloyd Williams, who's also a Welsh international, he lived a block away as well. We had a good little coffee club. There's probably like 6 or 7 of us that all lived within like 2 blocks of each other. So there's a couple little cafes and stuff we'd go to after training. We'd meet up and play cards and have a coffee.
That's nice. How did you get that call up to join the pro team?
Well, I was at Northampton, and actually the director of rugby there at the time was Billy Millard. And Billy was, one of our USA coaches. He was the backs coach, I think my second tour maybe. And then, so he was a backs coach my second tour, and then he became the USA. He did like director of rugby or director of age grade or whatever, and then went to Cardiff as the director I guess he was a GM because we didn't have a director of rugby. So he was just kind of like, he did all the administrative stuff and we had a head coach. So he went there, did that, and then called me and he's like, hey, do you want to come, do you want to come to Cardiff? I was like, yeah all right. Because my contract was running up at Northampton. That was when Northampton was, we won the Prem my first year there.
Yeah.
I didn't play at all, but we won it. It was nice to be a part of and learn. It was my first contract as a 23-year-old, you know what I mean? And then the second year we were on fire and then lost a close one to,
Right.
I think Saracens maybe in the semifinal.
Yeah.
And then I went to Cardiff after that.
So you eventually came back and you joined Major League Rugby, where you a little bit with the Legion the first year, and then NOLA the last 2 years.
Yeah.
How obviously, and you've played the highest level of international test rugby, 2 World Cups, and et cetera, et cetera. How does the competition in the Pro 12, now Pro 14, compare with playing in the MLR?
It's not as good, if I'm brutally honest with you. And I mean, you can't really expect it to be in our third year.
Right. Yeah.
The majority of the makeups of those teams are international or close to international quality players of Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Italy, and then the 2 South African teams.
Yeah.
And so, it's not as good. I mean, as far as professionalism goes, I know here in New Orleans, our training regimen's basically the same. Like, it's not any different.
Mm-hmm.
Those teams have a lot more money.
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting 10 to 12,000 people to their games.
Yeah.
You're lucky if you get 3 here. So
yeah.
Hold on, I'll be right back. So it's not as good, but I think with that said, I think year 1 to year 3 was a huge drop off. I mean, if you take that Seattle team and that Glendale team who played in the final of year 1 and put up against San Diego team this year. I think the San Diego, because they obviously finished undefeated. I think they beat that Seattle team by 20 plus points.
That's good though, that the leagues continue to grow like that.
Well, the level of competition is just getting higher, so the training has to get higher.
Yep.
The fitness levels are higher. The game is obviously always evolving. So, I don't think we're there yet. I think we're quite a ways off. But I think hopefully the league sticks around for a while. And I think if you ask me that question again, and 7 to 10 years, I'll have a different answer for you. That's
good. What do you think is the biggest difference? Is it skill or speed? What do you think it is?
Well, you got no, just knowledge. I don't think the skill or speed is any different.
Okay.
I think our fitness levels are much better now too in America. I think a lot of it just has to do with knowledge and experience. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, and you just look at a player who's been playing professionally for 8 years, and look at a player who's been playing for a year. The guy who's been playing for a year might be bigger, stronger, faster, but the guy who's been playing for 7 years is probably a better rugby player just because he has the experience and the knowledge and everything.
Right. Yeah. Even this last World Cup, South Africa was a more mature team than the teams that didn't win it. Well, running out of time here, so I want to ask you a couple more questions before we go. In your time as a USA Eagle, what has been your favorite memory in the Eagle jersey?
It's got to be beating Scotland at home in Houston.
Yeah,
I think that's most people. That and your first cap's always special. My 50th cap was special at the World Cup. Against Argentina. But yeah, no, sorry, I forgot we got a camera on. Yeah, definitely got to be Scotland at home. They score with no time left. They need a kick to win it. They miss it. Home crowd.
That game was just incredible.
We finished that tour. We finished that tour with 3 wins from 3.
Yep. The Samoa.
No, that was when we beat Russia and Denver, and then
Romania.
And then we beat Scotland, and then we went up to Canada to Prince Edward Island and beat Canada away, and kept that trophy. So the Can-Am Cup, I think it's called. And then we went that summer, lost to Maori pretty badly in Chicago, or that fall, lost to Maori pretty badly in Chicago, but then went on to beat Samoa and Spain on a last-second kick, and then went to Romania and beat Romania pretty good in the snow. And then, we played Ireland in the Aviva Stadium, and we were in it till halftime. But so, it was a good year for us. I think we won the ARC that year too.
Yeah, y'all
I think we
swept it.
went undefeated, won the ARC. We beat Argentina in a close one. They knocked it on over the line with no time left. And then went and had a real good rest of our tour. And then had a good summer, like I said, and then decent fall. I think we won the only test match we lost was to Ireland that year. I think we won like 10 from 11 test matches or something like that.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. All right. Second question is there a player that you've played against that stood out as the toughest opponent throughout your whole career?
Yeah, probably this past World Cup, I'd say. Billy Vunipola was really good, and I also underestimated how good George Ford was.
Yeah.
Oh, I just thought he was more of a link player, and I mean, against us, he was on fire at the World Cup.
Yeah.
So I just thought, oh, he's a link player. Like, he's not really going to do any all-star stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
if you get up in his face early or something like that, you can, kind of, keep him quiet. And he went the other way. His kicking from hand was impeccable against us. He broke the line a couple of times. He distributed well. So, yeah, probably those two.
How big is George Ford?
Not very big. I don't know, maybe 5'10", 5'11", 180 pounds, 185 pounds.
Not big at all.
But he's quick and he's, good at what he does. Obviously, again, that experience.
Yep.
He wouldn't be in the World Cup if he wasn't.
He's probably been playing since he could pretty much walk.
Yeah. Probably. And his dad is a heck of a coach too. I know he originally going to come to Dallas and be their coach, but they kind of pulled out of that first year of MLR, and I don't really know where he went after that.
No. All right. Last two questions. First one is, what sort of words of advice or encouragement or wisdom would you give to young players coming up into the next generation?
Enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. Don't take it too seriously. With that said, work hard and definitely don't leave anything on the field. You know what I mean? Like, when you do get your opportunity, take it. And try to get feedback from your coaches as well. Get feedback. With trainings and in any games you play. What can I work on? What did I do well? What do I need to work on? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And then go from there. But definitely enjoy the ride, because you don't want to look back when you're 40 and be like, oh man, I wish I would have done this, or this. So, have fun with it as well. It is a game at the end of the day.
Right. Cool. That's insightful. And it's cool you mentioned, getting feedback and continuing to learn, because I hear that from a lot of the top athletes in all sports. They're always talking about, constantly, how can I improve? I guess it's not being complacent and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think feedback's huge, because what you might think you need to do or not do isn't necessarily what the coach thinks you need to do or not do for the team. You know what I mean? Because it is a team sport at the end of the day. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not tennis or golf. So.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Last question. In your words, what is rugby?
I think rugby's a lot of things. It's camaraderie. It's looking to the guy to the left and right of you and knowing that they have your back and you have their back. It's competing. And like I said, it's having fun. It is a game at the end of the day. So with that said, leave it all out there and have fun while you're doing it.
Totally. Nice. Yeah, I like having fun is something you mentioned a few times, and I wholeheartedly agree with that.
I think, what was I going to say? I think no matter what you do as a team, whether you win or lose, I think those relationships and those bonds you build with those people, through preseason and, those wins and losses and the traveling and the tough practices, and the enjoyment of winning or the heartbreak of losing. I think those are some of the strongest bonds I've ever built.
Yep. All right, we're back. Yeah, my internet
I was in the middle of talking. I forgot what we were even talking about. And I was like, I think
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so I guess your kind of last things we were wrapping up. Sort of your message out to the future players and such.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Just having fun. I think we spoke. I think I covered that. What was the next thing we spoke about?
About what is rugby and
Yeah. So rugby's like I said, it's camaraderie. It's competing. It's taking those losses and learning from them, and enjoying those victories, whether small or big. Enjoying the journey along the way. It doesn't last forever.
right.
So, having fun with that.
Oh, and you were talking about the relationships that you make along the way.
Yeah. So those bonds, right? They're very unique, and they're unique in all sports, I think. And like I said, the hard work you put in the preseason, the tough practices, the easy practices, the travels, the road victories are always fun. The home victories, in front of your crowd, are always sweet as well. And then, taking those losses and, you got to kind of take it on the chin and getting back to work on Monday and learning from it and improving for the next week's game.
That's what it's all about. And yeah, as you said, just enjoying the whole process, all of it put together.
Yeah, everyone's everyone's story is different. Everyone plays for different reasons. Everyone enjoys different aspects of the game, but I think that's also unique as well. So, what I might enjoy about the game, and the reason for why I play, could be different, from the guy, to the left or the right of me. They might be playing for different reasons, or they might enjoy different aspects. I think that's what's fun about it. It's not a one-trick pony kind of thing.
I 100% agree with that. Well, Cam, I really appreciate getting to chat with you. You're a guy that, inspiration to a lot of us younger rugby players here in the United States, and a guy that's helped pave the way for Americans overseas. And, we thank you for that. And I thank you for taking the time to chat with me. And best of luck moving forward with the NOLA Gold, with your real estate work, and hopefully another World Cup or two.
We'll see what happens. See how the body holds up. I'm 30 now, so let's not get too carried away. All right, man. Thanks for having me. Stay happy, stay healthy. All right.
All right. Yeah. Take care.
You too.